Hey guys, I want to introduce you to synthesis, and that is where we weave together strands of argument into a cohesive essay. So defining synthesis, this is something that you're going to want to follow along on your guided lecture notes, which are in Google Classroom. But the general definition of synthesis is just the combination of ideas to form a theory or a system. As an AP essay, you're going to know it as one of the three essays that you could have written on the exam. Of course, now that we have changed the format of the AP exam, I don't believe you'll be doing synthesis, but I still think this is something important for you to know as you head off into college, because many of your research papers will require you to incorporate multiple sources related to a common topic. So that's why we're going to really look at this in depth. You're going to be given 6 sources related to a common topic on an AP exam, so we're going to stick with that approach, and there will be a writing prompt to follow along with that topic. You will use at least 3 of the given sources to support your response, okay? So from an AP language leader, David Jolliffe, he's from the University of Arkansas, he says that as novices in this endeavor, students needed to learn that accomplished academic writers don't simply draw material from published sources as if the sources were maples being tapped for their sap. On the contrary, savvy writers converse with sources and incorporate, literally embody them in their arguments. That's what we are going to try to do with our synthesis essays. So our working definition. When synthesizing, writers draw upon arguments from multiple sources, strategically selecting the most relevant information and combine apt and specific source material as part of their own argument. Okay, so there's 4 steps to the synthesis. First, you're going to read and analyze, which we've been doing all year, so that's not new to you. Then we're going to generalize and form a thesis statement. Then we're going to converse with the sources and refine our thesis. And finally, write the paper. All right, let's get going. So this is a YouTube video that I actually am not going to show you right now because my Screencast-O-Matic web platform that I'm using won't allow you to hear what they're saying. So I want you guys to actually go on to the presentation that I've shared with you on Google Classroom and find this YouTube video and watch it on your own time. I'm not going to be able to listen to it here as we would in the classroom, but you could still do this on your own. In fact, it's important that you do this. So why kids are confronting their parents about sharenting, okay? So things that I want you to consider are what claim is the source making about the issue? What data or evidence does the source offer in support of that claim? And is there evidence or bias or areas that prompt questions? So I've shared with you in Google Classroom several articles on sharenting, and I want you to make notes in the margins of them and identify the claims with a C in parentheses. I want you to identify the evidence with an E, and then any questions that you would have with a Q for each source. If you would prefer to do this by highlighting in different colors on Google Docs, you are certainly welcome to do that. It's totally up to you. Okay, after you finish reading and analyzing, I want you to jot down some ideas. What 2 or 3, or maybe even more positions on the issue of sharenting could you take? What position do I want to take for my essay? Why? I want you to keep an open mind because sometimes a less obvious approach is more successful. Okay, now I want you to practice. On a Google Doc, I want you to list 3 potential claims. Actually, not on a Google Doc. This is actually on your guided notes that I've shared with you. I want you to list 3 potential claims that you could make about sharenting after having read the articles. And I want you to see the specific prompt at the top of those sources, and then decide which one you would like to use and put a check mark next to it. Step 3, you're going to converse with the sources and refine your thesis. I want you to imagine presenting each of his or her best positions on the issue to each of the authors of the provided sources. Consider role-playing the author or creator of each source and create an imaginary conversation between yourself and the author or creator of the source. And would the author or creator agree with the writer's position? Why? Would they disagree? Why? Would they want to qualify it in some way? Why and how. So those are things that you're going to be considering as you look at the sources. Now you're going to practice. So you're going to divide into your large groups and you're going to decide which person is going to represent each source. So yes, that means that some of you will double up on sources because there are only 4 shared. Then I want you to create a Google Doc for your large group and me. You're sharing it with all of those people. Each person in the group will share their thesis statement regarding the source that they're representing on the Google Doc. The others in your group will comment the places where their source would agree and or disagree with their thesis or give them another perspective to consider. You're going to do this until everyone's thesis is shared. So every person in the group is going to give feedback to everybody else's thesis statements. Okay, I want you to really be thinking about revisions and how to improve your thesis statement to be very, very strong. Some of you are very uncomfortable writing timed essays, timed things on the spot because you think that you are ill-equipped for it. I'm not expecting these to be fantastic. I want you to know that revision is part of the writing process. And so I'm really encouraging you to take that part of this seriously, okay? Okay, step 4 would be writing the essay. You're going to organize a synthesis essay about the same way as an argument essay. There might be different methods of development that are appropriate for different purposes and audiences. For example, consider cause and effect, compare, contrast, narrative, and definition. We've looked at all of those throughout the year. A common method of development for synthesis topics, though, is the problem solution method of development. And this is where you introduce the problem, you give the context of who or what is affected by it. You do this in a couple of paragraphs. You propose a solution, so that's your thesis statement, and then you give evidence of its effectiveness, so a couple of paragraphs or more. And finally, a conclusion to wrap it up and tie the problem and solution together. So this is a new method of development for you guys to consider when you're writing. Okay, finally, step 4 is to practice. So this is homework, and I'm going to give you about a week to work on this. I'll post the deadline on Google Docs, or Google Classroom, and also on Planbook, so it's very clear. But I want you to write a brief 3-paragraph problem solution essay to the Sharenting prop. So using the video, using those 4 sources that I shared with you, use evidence from at least 3 of those 4 sources provided, and do not use outside sources other than what I gave you. Do not consult other outside sources to write that. All right, you guys know where to find me if you have questions about this. This will be posted again on Google Classroom and on Planbook. So if you have any questions, let me know.